that happen in life. Oh no, I have to watch what I say now. And there's too many variables that happen in life, and we cannot plan and predict all of those. So that's the purpose of this. There's something that didn't fit in the little round hole. We got the square peg and round hole, and it doesn't fit. So your jobs is to see if either the hole should be adjusted or the peg needs to be adjusted. And when the developer comes, they're going to suggest that we change the hole. You can look at that and see if that's wise or not, and if that's to the best interest of our community. And that's really what it's all about. We're just looking out for what's best for our community. And I appreciate you sacrificing your time to do that. You don't have to, but you're here. And on a snowy night to boot, because you might need those boots to get home. So thank you for taking your time to do that. And thank you for dedicating yourself to our community. Because of that, our community is better. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Okay, the next order of business will be the election of a new chair and vice chair. I'll open it up for nominations.
Can the same person serve as chair? Is there any rules about the same person serving as chair? Do you want to serve as chair again?
Sure.
Yeah. I'll nominate Bill Heiner to serve as chair.
I'll second that nomination.
It's been nominated by board member Christine
Right.
Wright and Clifton Smith, seconded by Clifton Smith, nominated Bill Heiner as chairman, and I'll accept the nomination. Just ask for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
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 It's unanimous.
Were you vice last year? Do you want to do it again?
I can unless you for. I'll do it again.
The floor is open for nomination for vice chair.
Are you good with that? I will nominate Clifton Smith to be the vice chair.
I'll second.
There's been a motion by Christine Wright and seconded by Mike Wilson for Clifton Smith to be the vice chair. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Congratulations. Has everyone had an opportunity to review the minutes?
Yes.
I entertain a motion.
I
to
move
approve.
to approve the minutes of the meeting on October 10th.
I'll second the motion.
The motion to approve the meeting minutes from October 10th has been first and seconded. All in favor? I don't think we need a.
Aye.
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 Okay, we've approved that. The next item on our agenda is the Newton variance. Turn the time over now to Mr. Newton. I'll turn the time over to you, Mr. Newton, to explain your situation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This property is a 1 acre lot that was purchased about 15 years ago to be able to provide homes for my family. We built one home on the back portion of that lot 2 years ago, and And then then we want to, my son is moving back from Albuquerque and wants to build his home on the front portion of that. It would, what it would mean was we'd have 2,000 square feet for the back lot and just short of 2,000 feet for the front lot. And the code requires the 2,000 feet.
I think he means 20,000, not
So,
20,000 square feet.
yeah, 20,000, sorry. Yeah, that's a little closer. So basically we've got a 19,000 square foot lot and a 20,000 square foot lot roughly. The surrounding properties both to the west, to the south, and to the east are all 10,000 square foot lots, with a few lots to the north being most of them are almost an acre. As you can see, there's about 4 or 5 lots there. So it's certainly 19,000 square foot lot is still a pretty good sized lot for the area. And if we could, I actually didn't even need the subdivision, but the code requires the subdivision to do so. So I'm in agreement with the staff report and hope that what we build there, well, we're planning on about a 4,000 square foot home, which will certainly be an addition to the area. So thank you very much.
Thank you. I got a little bit ahead of myself there. The variance would be from 20,000 to 18,962 square feet. Just for the record. The staff.
Apparently there's a snow squall outside. So.
Yeah, we're all getting weather alerts on our phone.
So everybody's cell
Back
phones
to
going. Yeah. So as you said, Chair Heiner, the variance is for the one lot. And as you can see on the screen, this is the lot that was 1 acre when it was originally subdivided many years ago. And the city, in widening 2200 West, it took a little over 1,000 square feet from the lot. And so what that did is made it so that, Mayor, you're an emergency, I guess. So it made it, under normal circumstances, each lot in the RR5 zoning is required to have 20,000 square feet, because but for the taking of the property, it has left the lot short on the area requirement of the zone. This is a concept of what Mr. Newton is proposing to do with the flag lot. You can see he has a home in the front and then a home on a potential flag lot. To the south would be a 20-foot driveway. But as I said in the pre-meeting, you're really not discussing the subdivision, just the variance request. The property values or areas around it, of course, to the north are still close to the 1 acre lot. And it's interesting, you can see that property was taken from them for the road also, but I think because of the way the canal runs, maybe not quite as much. Over on the other side of the canal, the lots are it's in an R110 zone, but you can see these are the end of the cul-de-sac, so lots end up a little bit larger. And then to the south, they're all exactly the same size lot at a little over 11,000 square feet. And then on the east side of 2200 West, they're just a little over 8,000 square foot. So, a half acre lot would not be out of character for the area, because there's a variety of different house sizes. It certainly won't be a cookie cutter neighborhood, because it'll be all different cookies. But, and then this is a simple concept of what Mr. Newton wishes to do. And with that, unless you have any questions for me, staff feels like the applicant has met all the tests of hardship, and the Board of Adjustment can grant a variance from the 20,000 square foot minimum requirement to an 18,960 square foot lot based on the satisfaction of the test of hardship. Do you have any questions for me?
I do have one additional question.
Yeah.
So the lots to the south with the 11,325, is that in a different zone?
It's in an R110
Okay.
zone. Yeah.
Any questions from the panel or for the staff or for the applicant?
I'm just curious, you bought it 15 years ago, but you just built 2 or 4 years ago?
Yeah.
Were you farming on it or just,
The property to the north.
oh, sorry.
The property to the north had horses on it, and we actually let the horses graze there for the last
Oh, okay,
15 years.
cool.
And now the horses are sad, so.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
When did the road widening occur?
That occurred in 1997. So
I don't have any additional questions.
Okay. I'll now open the meeting up for a public hearing. Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing portion. Open things up for discussion amongst the board. Like to go over each of the numbers if we could, and one at a time. You've got them there, Clifton.
Yeah, so the first one is the literal enforcement of this title would cause an unreasonable hardship for the applicant that is not necessary to carry out the general purpose of this title. The Board of Adjustment shall not find an unreasonable hardship if the hardship is self-imposed or economic. To determine whether or not enforcement of this title would cause unreasonable hardship, the Board of Adjustment shall not find unreasonable hardship unless the alleged hardship is located on or associated with the property for which the variance is sought and comes from circumstances peculiar to the property, not from conditions that are general to the neighborhood.
Thoughts or comments?
It's not peculiar just to this property. It was the entire road, so all the properties. I don't feel
Yes,
like-
it wasn't self-inflicted or self-induced, so. I think that one is good.
The only, and I'm just playing devil's advocate. The only question I have is if it was thought that they would subdivide this property and then purchased after the road had been widened, is that is that self-inflicted? No, or is that just because it's peculiar to the property and maybe not foreseeable? What's staff's thought on that?
well, I don't think it's self-inflicted because he didn't widen the road, the city did. He didn't ask for the road to be widened. He didn't, it was just done for the good of the city. And so, and probably when he purchased the property, he didn't even look into that issue. So I don't think that he thought that, well, I'll purchase this and then go to the Board of Adjustment. I think he probably realized it after
Yeah,
when he was trying to comply with the ordinances of the city that, but for the city taking this 1,000 or 2,000 square feet, I'd be able to enjoy my property rights, but I can't
yeah.
because he's benefiting the whole city by.
So
Yeah,
it makes sense that it
Mm.
wouldn't have been something that was necessarily told or it's not something that you generally look at. So
I know what you're saying, but I don't think as a, like when you're looking at a lot and you see the homes to the south that are all on smaller properties and to the east, I would never think, oh, I'll never be able to subdivide my own property that's twice or three times as, or four times as large. So I agree.
okay. Yeah, I think that it meets this criteria.
And then on item 2,
So criteria 2 are that there are special circumstances attached to the property that do not generally apply to other properties in the same district and relate directly to the hardship complained of. So I would just my own comments on that. I would agree that it's only applicable to a certain number of properties that were affected by the road widening.
okay, that. And criteria 3,
Criteria 3 is granting the variance is essential to the enjoyment of a substantial property right possessed by other property in the same district.
That's true. Just like we see all around. Allows them to live by their son.
it makes our job easier. And then criteria 4,
The variance will not substantially affect the general plan and will not be contrary to the public interest. I did notice in the paperwork that notice had been given to the surrounding homes, and there didn't seem to be any opposition to that at all. In fact, some seem to be in favor. So for me, I would think that it doesn't affect, or it's definitely not contrary to the public interest.
I agree with that. Also,
So criteria 5 is the spirit of this title is observed and substantial justice is done.
I think so.
I agree.
This one is fairly easy for us in that the properties around the subject property are similar in nature and
Yeah, and I think especially since it's a result of a road widening done by the city for the public interest, this property shouldn't carry a penalty for that.
I agree with that too. It's kind of a shame that the applicant has to pay to to go through this process, but that's part of it, I suppose. Okay, I would open, is that all on discussion? Anything else? I'd open it up for a vote or
I'll make a motion
motion, sorry.
based on the finding of hardship set forth in 2009 City Code and in this staff report. I move that the Board of Adjustment approve the Newton variance request from the 20,000 square foot minimum requirement of the RR20 zone to 18,962 minimum lot area on property located at 6920 South, 2200 West, parcel number 21-477-012-0000.
I second the motion.
We have a first and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Variance has been approved. Okay. Item 5, I think we're scratching from the, no, I'm sorry, go ahead. I'll open, we're going to do training for the Open and Public Meeting Act for our annual training. So I'll turn the time over to Patrick Boyce, our Our attorney.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, unfortunately, you're not done and you have to hear from me on this. Let's see. There we go. That'll stay on. Technology. We're going to do it. We tried right before the meeting started and it was real simple.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So I appreciate you giving me some time to come and speak with you about this. I promise not to take too long. I promise to try and make it somewhat entertaining and applicable. One of the things about the Open Public Meetings Act is that it requires an annual training, right? So there's no way around it. You have to hear it. You can either hear it from me or you can hear it from a recorded message from the state. And trust me, I've watched the recorded message from the state, and this one's better. So, uh, for those of you who haven't known, I think probably Michael, I don't know if you've sat through these before. OPMA or the Open Public Meetings Act is a state statute that essentially requires that any meeting of a public body be open to the public and that all deliberations also be open as well. OPMA defines what is considered to be a meeting, defines all notice requirement, and also contains exceptions to those general requirements. Today, as you can see, we've got an open meeting. The chair is open for public comment on some of the agenda items. Anybody's welcome to come in and see what you do. OPMA also contains penalties for violating its provisions. I put these at the front. If you go to the statute, these are at the very end. And the last thing I'd want is for you to sit through the presentation, basically ignore everything that's being said, and then be hit with the penalties at the end and say, oh man, if I would have known, I would have paid attention sooner. That's kind of what I generally do. So I'll just start out by telling you this is important. There's an allowance in there for a suit to be filed. This is talking about a civil suit, a suit to compel compliance. We don't want to be drug into court because somebody thinks that you're meeting behind closed doors out of sight of the public, right? So that's bad. It gets worse. Um, there's also a criminal penalty that's allowed in here, okay? It's a Class B misdemeanor for knowingly or intentionally violating the provisions of OPMA. Um, it's a great function that you're serving. Uh, you don't get the credit that you deserve. We definitely don't want anybody charged criminally with any violations. I don't think you will be, but I do need to let you know, Mr. Chair.
Yes, if we are charged criminally, are you our attorney?
That's a good question. So if you're charged criminally, the city of West Jordan does not prosecute this. So it's not something that you'd be charged with in justice court here in front of Judge Coons. The state attorney general, or more likely the district attorney for the county of Salt Lake, would be the ones that would prosecute that. So far as defending you, that's a good question. I think on a civil suit, it would probably be us that would defend you. I'm not sure on a criminal case, to tell you the truth. I'll also tell you this in full disclosure: it's rare that it gets charged. I'm unaware of somebody ever being charged, But what I will do is I will look into that issue about who would be your defense attorney in case of a criminal suit, just because I think that's an interesting question, and I'll look into it and I'll bring it back to you. Yeah. Yeah, or just don't have any closed meetings. Here's the analogy that's drawn, and I will go back to it. I think it's a great one. Public meetings are like going to the swimming pool, right? Good public servants have to be willing to share a little bit of skin, and let their political cellulite show, in order to be good public servants. We can't go to the pool and expect that nobody else is going to be there. We can't kick everybody out of the pool so that we can swim by ourselves. We have to be able to come and be in a position for a little bit of embarrassment to maybe be exposed. Okay. We get to make mistakes in front of the public eye. We get to be seen in the public eye because we are here to conduct the public's business. And in conducting the public's business, we again, like I say, have to be able to expose a little bit of maybe our shortcomings in this process. Um, uh, Official bodies are put in place for really the sole purpose of conducting the people's business. And this issue of people's business, that's actually what the code uses. That's the language that's in the Open and Public Meetings Act. We are here, as the mayor said at the beginning, to look out for the citizenry and the community of West Jordan. These meetings are about the people. This is the people's business. This is not the board's business. This is not one member of the board's business. This is for the entire citizenry of West Jordan. I would kind of propose to you another thought, that is, if this were a court of criminal jurisdiction, we would not proceed without the defendant being present, and without the defendant being able to participate in their own hearing. And essentially, that's what we're talking about here. We're talking about the public. The public has a right to be present, to be informed of everything that's being discussed, and to participate in these proceedings. So all meetings are open to the public. Deliberations also are to be conducted publicly. You experienced some of those today on a couple of different points. When deciding who should be chair and vice chair, you did so very collegially. That's not always the case for every public body, but you did a great job. When you're talking about the deliberations on the variance today, you deliberated on that in open. You didn't kick everybody out so that you could talk about it behind closed doors. Those discussions are not only part of the record, but they're open for everybody to see. I did put this, exceptions do apply. I'll go over some limited exceptions, but remember, they're exceptions, very, very narrow exceptions. A public body is one which is created by Utah statute. Public body consists of two or more persons. It is supported in whole or in part by tax revenue, and is vested with authority to make decisions regarding the public's business. This is the definition that's provided for us in the Open and Public Meetings Act. The Board of Adjustment is created under Utah Code 10-9A-701. The Board of Adjustment consists of 5 members. The Board of Adjustment is supported wholly by tax funds. And the Board of Adjustment is authorized to make administrative decision appeals, grant variances, determine nonconforming uses, and hold hearings, etc. The Board of Adjustment is a public body under the Open and Public Meetings Act definition. A meeting specifically is defined as a convening of the public body where a quorum is present for the purpose of discussing, receiving comments, or acting upon a matter within that body's jurisdiction. That includes workshops such as this. It includes executive sessions. I think sometimes people think, well, if we go into executive session, that means nobody else can be there. It's not necessarily the case. It includes both in-person and virtual meetings. It's kind of some of the newer changes that have been put into OPMA since COVID. So this is what public meetings are. Public meetings are not a chance social gathering, right? If Bill and Michael get together to have dinner one night, it's not a public meeting, right? If Christine and Clifton and Bill happen to see each other at the rodeo fairgrounds over there, that's a social gathering. It's not a public meeting. I did put in there a caveat. Beware that discussing upcoming agenda items could cause some problems, right? So if Board Member Wright, Chair Heiner, and Vice Chair Smith uh, happen to stumble upon each other at the Smith Shopping, center, and they get together in the dairy aisle and say, "Man, did you see about that request for the appeal that's coming up at our next meeting? What do you guys think about that?" And you have a meeting there. It's a problem. It's 3 members. That's a quorum of the Board of Adjustment. It's discussing upcoming agenda items. It's a kind of a danger zone. Okay. So even though it's a chance gathering, a social gathering or something, it does create some problems there. So just beware of those kind of pitfall areas. Notice is kind of the next big area of OPMA. No less than 24 hours public notice for each meeting that's coming up. The notice must contain the agenda, the date, time, and place of the meeting that's going to be held. Public body must post an annual schedule if meetings are held regularly throughout the year. The Board of Adjustment is scheduled for meetings the first Tuesday of, second Tuesday. As soon as I said that, second Tuesday of every month. Doesn't always happen that way, but that's what it's noticed for. No less than quarterly throughout the year, and those dates are fairly set. Those notices are sent out, and everybody's kind of aware of those, and it's provided in advance. Oh, come on, Mr. Slide. Notice must also be given on the Utah Public Notice website. If you haven't been to the Public Notice website, it's kind of fun. I've got some screenshots of it in the next slides. I'll show you what it looks like. Notice should also be posted physically. I think generally it's posted here at the Justice Center over at City Hall. I probably posted at temporary City Hall right now is where it's at. Here and at Public Works is and on the websites is where it's being posted right now. And I've got that posted on the city website as well. There are no real specific city statutes requiring any additional notice, but you should be aware that the Board of Adjustment bylaws do contain a small provision regarding notice. It's nothing that the code and OPMA doesn't require, just kind of reiterates the 24-hour notice of all meetings. But it's a good opportunity to familiarize yourself with the bylaws. This is a screenshot of the public notice website that's run by the state. I'm sorry I couldn't make it any clearer or larger. That's as good as I could kind of get it. But it does contain meetings from around the state. So I think on there, I don't think you're on there, but it does go back to like into December and then starting the first part of January. This one actually is yours. It's down there at the bottom. So I ran a quick search on the bottom of the state website. You can narrow it down by municipality, City of West Jordan, and then you can just go to Board of Adjustment that's listed at the top, and it'll give you the meeting dates that are coming up. So your meeting date from October is on there. The meeting date for today is on there. And if you click on some of those, it'll even give you an agenda and everything else that's on there. So it's actually a great website. Some of the changes that are made to OPMA gets, what would I say? Gets messed with every year by the state legislature. Somebody's always got a great new idea. A lot of the changes that they make have recently have been made to kind of rural areas, and the way that they serve notice, right? So if you've got a small municipality or town that's only got a few hundred people in it, you're used to just hanging a flyer in the window of the city office, once a month. They want you to start using the state website. So some of the recent changes regarding notice are really just the way that those sorts of things get noticed up. So nothing that applies to you. The board should not, though, consider any or act upon any matter which is brought up during the meeting which is not on the agenda. Again, this is a notice issue, right? So if today we say, hey, we're going to discuss another variance, we didn't tell anybody about it, we didn't ask any of the neighbors, but we're going to decide on it, we're going to act. Not to be done. The public has a right to be present, a right to be informed, and a right to attend and participate in anything that affects them. And so because your decisions affect the public, we don't act on things that haven't been properly noticed. If a member of the public comes in and were to have said, hey, I don't agree with what the planning commission did, and I think you should overturn it, the board can discuss it, but no formal action can be taken without the proper notices being sent out, right? There's proper procedures, proper notice. Notice is really one of the big ones, not only in this sort of proceeding, but even in court proceedings and other things. The courts and the judges can't make decisions on items that haven't been properly noticed to all the parties that come before them. It's one of those judicial rules of procedure. This kind of mirrors that in essence. Go figure. Lawyers write the laws for boards and then they just apply what they're used to. One of those exceptions to notices is that emergency hearings can be held. There's strict requirements. Notice requirement gets modified but not done away with entirely. So to hold an emergency hearing, the circumstances have to be unforeseen. It requires the body to consider matters of an emergency or urgent nature. Notice still has to be given, it may be less than 24 hours. An attempt is made to notify all members of the body, and a majority of the members of the public body approve the meeting. For you, that's 3 members have to approve the emergency meeting after an attempt is made to notify all members. What that does is it makes sure that like 2 members of the board can't say, oh, we're going to have an emergency hearing to, decide this variance real quick and not notify, any 3 of the other members. And then they try to push it through, late at night on a Thursday or something. So that's the reason for it. Recordings, we all heard when Julie hits the button, it says the meeting's going to be recorded. It's up in the top right-hand corner of our screen. All of these things are being recorded. Written minutes and a digital recording shall be kept of all open meetings. Written minutes must include things like the date, time, place of the meeting. You adopt those as part of your agenda items. They're important for those purposes, right? The names of all members present and absent, the substance of all matters proposed, discussed, or decided, and include a summary of the comments made. Any comments that you made today are part of the official written record. The votes that are recorded by each member of the body. So if board member Wright votes yes, Julie doesn't just mark that there were 4 yes votes. Each member of the body's vote is counted by individual. That way the public knows who votes for and who votes against certain things. Name of the person who made the comments to the body and things as well. So obviously tonight's minutes will show that Mr. Newton made comments to the board. The recording, also kind of similar, must be complete and unedited. We can't go back and edit out. So if somebody says something offhand and they say, wait, I want that stricken from the record, it's unedited. The meeting minutes run. So I guess everybody watch your language. But the recording's got to be properly labeled, date, time, and place. It's important. Yeah, Mr. Chair.
misspoke or something like that, or?
That's a good question. I think what you'd want to do is probably reopen, maybe before the next meeting, and maybe make a statement on record to clarify what you meant at a prior meeting. You can, try to add an amendment to the minutes that might be included in written minutes if there's a need to do that. But those are important things to make sure that we come up with. Again, sometimes the pre-meeting is important, I think, for that purpose. It's an opportunity to discuss kind of what's coming before the board. It's an opportunity to discuss the legal standards that apply to the decisions that are being made, and it's an opportunity to kind of collect some general thoughts about things. If there's a big issue about misspeaking or misrepresentation, it's probably going to be on a case by case basis. The one thing that you can't do is go back and change votes and things, though. I mean, that's in the bylaws. But if you said, I just as an example, if we said, hey, it's January 9th, 2022, and we're here for the Board of Adjustments meeting. Well, oh wait, it's 2024. We can correct that as part of a record and things. That's just misspeaking, or we'll go back on record to enable that. But yeah, we don't edit those digitally ever. You can add to it, supplement is probably what I'd say. The official record by law, the official record is the written record. Okay. I want to tell you, I've served as a judge in my legal career. I'm going to tell you, the digital recording is going to carry a lot of weight, right? It's nice to listen to people rather than just read about what they said. It's nice to hear tone. We've got video. It's nice to see what people's reactions and mannerisms were. So I put in here, understand that the written record is the legally required official meeting, but in practice, the digital recording is probably going to be given more weight in the process of litigation if that does come forward. Okay. So always look through the written minutes, but the oral video digital recording is highly important as well.
I just have a question.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So because of the significance of the digital recording, should we be using our microphones more regularly rather than not just asking in general?
Always. Yeah. And kind of like we had today, Mayor Burton's a pro, right? As soon as Mr. Newton started speaking, he's like, whoa, go to the mic. We got to have it on the mic for that exact purpose. It's important for that. And if you'll notice on your little machine here, it's got your name and it's got like who's speaking and stuff, right? You see lecterns on because we hit the right button instead of the left button, and it's constant on. But otherwise it helps create that record as well of who is speaking. My guess, although I don't know, Julie probably knows, but I'm guessing that if needs be to do like a gal transcription, thank you, transcription, that would help get the transcription completed by a program that this is running as well. It's pretty technical. So those otherwise doing a transcription of this meeting would probably take a transcriber a solid week of work to bang out and get all the people's names and stuff right. So that's part of it. Good question. By the way, I will just tell you this. The city has a lot of great technology that I've seen. I don't know that every city enjoys the same level of technological advancements that West Jordan has. And so, yes, using those makes a world of difference down the road. So good question. We can close meetings, right? The OPMA does allow for it. A meeting can be closed if a quorum is present, the meeting has been properly noticed, and 2/3 of the meeting or of the members present approve closing the meeting. Again, for y'all, that would be 4 of the 5 members would need to approve closing the meeting. That is unless, again, little exception, unless the meeting is required to be closed, in which case only a simple majority is required, 3 instead of 4. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going over this because I think you should know it. But as I say here, this doesn't apply to the BOA, right? It doesn't apply to the Board of Adjustments. There's not really a situation that requires you to close a meeting. But I put them in here because it's interesting and because we want to be thorough in our training. But these are the areas that the code says you have to close the meeting, right? Health and Human Services interim committee reports, you don't receive those. Child welfare legislation, you don't receive those. Opioid and overdose fatality, you don't receive those. Medical marijuana, none of that either, right? I want you to take a minute though, and I want you to kind of see the common thread that's running through a lot of those specific issues for which a meeting can be closed. A meeting may be closed, right? When we look at statutes, there's words like this: must and may, or usually it's shall and may, right? Shall means you have to do it. Must, may means you can do it. It's discretionary at your discretion. You can choose to close a meeting on your discretion. Really doesn't apply to the Board of Adjustment on certain other circumstances. Discussion of the character, professional competence, physical or mental health of an individual, strategy session to discuss collective bargaining, discuss pending or imminent litigation strategy sessions to discuss purchase of or exchange of property, etc. Not really things that are within your purview, but I bring these up specifically to go back to the pool analogy, right? When we go to the pool, we have to be willing to wear a swimsuit and share a little skin, right? There are, however, certain spots that are so delicate, that are so sensitive, that are so private that we should not share them publicly. Okay. I'll go back one slide and I'll just say, we don't want the character, professional competence, physical or mental health of individuals discussed for the public. It's not our place to disclose people's health issues. We don't need to talk about child welfare in front of the general public. We don't need to talk about who's getting a medicinal marijuana card in front of the public. We don't need to discuss litigation strategy in front of the general public. Certain things are so sensitive that they should be closed off and kept behind the public's purview. An ordinance, a resolution, a rule, regulation, contract, appointment, those can't be discussed in a closed meeting. Any acts that are taken by the body got to be done in the open. Again, when you close it, I'll just, this is too much, but when you do close a meeting, you got to come back to the open meeting and say, here's why we closed it. Here's what we decided. You're not privy to the internal discussions, but this is kind of the net result of our closed meeting. And this is how we voted to decide closing the meeting, just so everybody knows, right? We're not trying to close these and keep you out of it. We're just discussing sensitive things. So again, we're not here to kick people out of the pool. We're not here to swim by ourselves in the West Jordan swimming pool and use the diving board just for our own purposes. These are things that are the public's business. This is the general policy of the law. I think that if you adhere to just the general spirit and principles espoused in the law, there won't be any problems. And not only that, but the better you are at complying with Optima, the less you have to sit through these sorts of PowerPoint presentations in the future, although yearly it's required. And so that's basically it. This is my contact information. I'm happy to assist you with whatever you'd like with whatever questions come up. If there's questions about cases that are coming before the board or legal standards that are coming up, or if there's questions specific to the Open Public Meetings Act that come before this body, I'm happy to discuss those with you as well. So don't hesitate to reach out, and I look forward to working with each of you. So are there any questions or anything that I brushed over quickly that you wanted to go back and discuss more of?
I don't have any questions. I
Okay.
wanted to comment. I've been through a few of these and this was quite interesting. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how many,
Anyway,
I don't know how many, chubby swimming suit, wearing guys holding a can of soda pop, pop across your trainings. But uh, interestingly enough, that analogy, I can't take credit for it. It comes from gentleman who worked with the city League of Cities and Towns years ago, and he was kind of notorious for his analogies and things. But I thought it was useful, and when we all wish we could be outside and swimming during the winter squall, maybe timely. So, thank you.
thank you. Okay, that completes business for the evening. I'll look at a motion.
I will make a motion to adjourn.
I second that motion.
Meeting adjourned. Thanks, everyone.